Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe back with some more MechWarrior Online, and today we're taking a look at the brand new map titled, well, I don't know, because I don't think they know. It's been labeled Industrial or Mech Factory. I'm not sure what they've decided upon, but as soon as I figure it out, I'll let you know. Anyways, so this was running on the public test server, which was only a 24-hour event. They don't have it running all the time. So if you're wondering how to play on here, then unfortunately you're out of luck. You'll have had to have played during the day. So it is kind of nice that they extended it because they did have some technical difficulties, which were resolved, but this is still kind of glitchy. You might see some bugs or errors, so please keep in mind that this is a work in progress. Now, this is very much one of my typical critique videos where we're going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to be brutally honest, and it's just for the betterment of the game. I really do enjoy this game. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been live streaming it nonstop, making content, video guides in order to help new players. I've been trying to get a lot more of my community into it because I've become really passionate about this game. It's just so much fun, and I think I'm kind of good at it, at least in a Raven 3L. Other mechs, maybe. But anyway, so I say this a lot, you know, the biggest problem with this game, the biggest problem with that game. Well, the biggest problem, if I really had to come out and say it with MWO that I have, is their maps. I don't think they're that great. Now, when we look at the mechs are beautiful. The conceptualization, I believe the concept artist, his name is Alex Iglesias, I think. My apologies if I've got the name wrong, but he has worked some miracles with the mechs in the Battletech universe. He's taken some garbage 1980s designs and transformed them into beautiful weapons of mech destruction. And the modeling department, they've done a good job at bringing his conceptualizations to life. You know, there might be some animation hiccups here and there, maybe some textures and things that could use another pass, but generally the mechs are gorgeous. But when you look at the maps, there's this large contrast between them. You look at that mech, it's amazing, and then the map, it doesn't look like the mech fits with the map. The map's just very bland and dry, colorless. The lighting is poor, and it's missing that immersion. And before I continue, because I know this is going to be one of those controversial videos, I mean no disrespect to the map designers at PGI. I really don't. This is just me being honest. I have to critique this game because I want it to be better. With community warfare on the horizon, with an inner sphere map in production, that means we're going to see a lot of planets. And that means we're going to see a lot of new maps, hopefully. And those maps, they got to look good. They have to have a certain standard. So, you know, getting back into it, it's just one of those things where for some reason it doesn't seem like they've been able to hit the mark in regards to map. And it's not only just design, it's the art, it's the aesthetics behind it. In many cases, we have maps that are just poor. Probably the least favorite map currently, I would say, is Terra Therma. Not because of the way it looks, but because of the fact that it's just a bunch of bottlenecks with a centralized fighting position in the caldera. It's just not popular for that reason. It doesn't even have anything to do with the way it looks or anything to do with the heat. It's just poorly designed. The layout is bad. In this map, I can tell you that the layout isn't bad. The layout's pretty good. It's a smaller map. It's about the size of Caustic Valley, except it's industrialized. Lots of buildings and roadways between those buildings. I think in some cases it could be a little more open, maybe like a big opening section. I had said during the live stream that I thought that there could be like a runway with a cargo drop ship that would transport the freshly made mechs to a battlefield position or something like that. So maybe in between you've got this large open area for people that want to do some more ranged combat, and then you go back into close quarters fighting outside of that. So That was one idea I had, but I don't think there's going to be any changes. And it seems like a lot of the development lately at PGI has been going more towards the brawl factor, which just seems to be something that most of the community is into. I know, discussing this here and now, that I am part of the minority. I know that I prefer a ranged game compared to the majority that want to just fight it out close quarters. I get that. I also understand that this map is receiving pretty good feedback. I've seen Twitter, not Facebook, but Reddit and the forums. And I get that a lot of people are saying, oh, the map's awesome, I love it. It's buggy, but it's great. And, it's just very, I like the size. A lot of people like the size of it. They want smaller maps. But I do have to then question, the standards that some people have, and I think this one's okay in design layout, fine if it's going to be the size of Caustic, whatever. But I just hope that we don't end up with a bunch of tiny maps from here on out. I hope it's a good mix, a good variety for people that want to do range and close quarters. But I think the issue I have mostly with this map and most of the maps in general is just that they're bland, they're boring, colorless, flat, dry. There's no foliage, there's no grass. The trees kind of look like something you would get from a model railroad kit. Well, you might actually get something a little better from a model railroad kit. They're stagnant. They're just, you can't really tell that there's any wind. There's not much ambience in regards to sounds, and if there is, you can't really hear it. It's very faint. Even though I get you're in a sealed cockpit, sometimes it's just nice to hear some ambient audio. It helps with that immersion. You can't tell that there's any wind. Sometimes there's maybe a level that has a little bit of snow or something, but it's just they just feel so stagnant, and the texture work very repetitive, overused in some cases. You just see textures tiled across the whole level where it just doesn't seem like there's any anything else beyond that. It's almost like you could count the number of textures used in the map, and it might be like, sometimes it just feels like, I'm not saying it is, but it feels like there's just 10 textures in the whole map, just constantly reused. And this map, of course, is one that reuses assets. So, for example, you're probably seeing a lot of similarities between this and Crimson Straits, or maybe some of their other urban environments, and they've admitted to that. They said, well, it's quicker for us to reuse assets than to build a map from scratch. And again, don't get me wrong, I understand that it takes several months to make a map, and many more months to make one from scratch, completely brand new. For example, HPG Manifold, which they just made from scratch, new assets and everything, texture work, all that. I get that many people have to be put to work in order to create something like that, and I get that it's difficult, and I get that CryEngine isn't the easiest engine for a developer to work with. I've heard that from other developers. I have friends that are in the industry that say, yeah, CryEngine's a giant pain in the butt to work with, and so I get that there's limitations and things that they have to go through to get something out in a timely manner. So again, I'm not, coming at this just some noob spouting off, so really, how can these things be improved? It's hard to say, because we've seen CryEngine used in other titles. I've played Crysis 1, which was a different engine, of course, CryEngine 1, and Crysis 2, CryEngine 2, Crysis 3, CryEngine 3. We've played the multiplayer modes, and we've seen some absolutely stunning maps by Crytek themselves. Of course, it's their engine, so they're going to make beautiful maps. They know how to use the engine. They know how to tap into the engine's power. ArcAge, which is a new MMO, I think currently in beta, using CryEngine, doesn't seem to be having too many problems making large maps that are able to run with hundreds of players online, if not thousands of players. Of course, I'm sure it's zone-based and things like that in certain areas. Otherwise, I guess it's mostly open world. But large environments there from what I've seen. Recent title Warface, which is absolutely terrible. Don't play it. Again, by Crytek, I think. But we see them using these engines to a more effective degree, I guess you could say. And we're just seeing examples that blow this game away in terms of map creation and design. Now, recently, there was a group, I think, on the forums, the MWO forums. I'll have a link in the description below. They were able to export the mech assets, the models, the mech models themselves, from this game into the CryEngine SDK. That means software development kit, or developer kit. And what that is, there's like a sample map in that kit that allows you to play around with the engine, and it's a beautiful level, lots of foliage. There's like a dock and an ocean, riverways and waterfalls, and just beautiful scenery. It's a lovely map, and you see these mechs. Again, click on the link in the description below to see what I'm talking about. You'll see these mechs in these environments, and it looks amazing. You can see the size, you can sense the scale. The trees look stunning. You see like a little shack, and you can really tell the size of, like, for example, there's a catapult mech in one of the scenes, and you can tell how large it actually is, because the map gives you that huge sense of scale, because it just seems like if you take the mech and you put it into a properly sized a map, the mechs are the right size. It's just the maps that have the issues, apparently. And PGI has said that they've had to scale the maps differently for their game, and so that they have to dumb down a lot of the details for performance reasons. But you know, when I look at these things, I'm sorry, man, but I just feel like there's a lot of excuses being put out. I honestly just, and again, this is gonna sound offensive, this is gonna offend somebody and maybe piss somebody off. I don't mean it to, but it looks like a lack of talent. Not necessarily just, I get that this engine sucks behind the scenes. I get it. I don't know why you chose it, but I get what stuff happened. You got this engine, you thought it was a good idea, whatever. I thought this was a great engine back in the day too. I think now it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but I just feel like right now there's some lazy development going on in the map department, and I think it does matter. I think that having seen examples in other games, looking at tank games even, you know, we got a new game, Armored Combat, coming out. They've showcased a lot of their maps already. They're stunning. They're absolutely stunning. And I'm wondering why the same thing can't be done. And we keep hearing about, you know, if you read in the forums or Reddit in regards to the Q&A about map design, you keep reading about how, oh, it's a performance issue. It's a performance issue. That's always the thing it goes back to. And it's like, yeah, but come on. You're overusing a texture. Really? You're telling me that having different textures or different color palettes or messing with the level's lighting, that's going to affect performance? I mean, I understand maybe not having debris and grass and foliage all over the place, but I don't know. I mean, performance issue, we're PC gamers here. We have options for a reason. They're options. They're optional. I mean, you give me better maps, I'll make you a free guide to educate the world on how to set their computer options. I'll make a PC builder's guide, free of charge. I'll show people how to set their game up so that it runs properly on a wide variety of systems. That's what I do best. I love tweaking these things, and I don't mind educating people on how to run the game. But right now, I'm seeing a lot of excuses for poor map design. I don't know if it's just a lack of talent, or if there truly is something that they can't get over because their game is so different. Now, yes, does the game perform? Does it have is it amazingly optimized? No, it's not. Sometimes you get a nice frame rate. It feels like, okay, well, fraps or whatever, or you hit F9, it says, okay, frame rate. Oh, got a good frame rate, but why doesn't it feel like I do? I have to run the game at DX9, and I have to set a bunch of the options down in some cases. And I've got a beefy system. I've got an i7 6-core processor, overclocked, 16 gigs of RAM. You know, I've got a GTX 680 superclock plus, and I mean, the oldest thing on the system is probably the video card, but it still puts to shame a lot of the other games. You know, it runs everything flawlessly, but you come here and the game just doesn't run very well, and it's just an optimization issue. But I've run CryEngine games before, and I don't have these same problems. So I start to wonder, like, what's going on here? What's so different? And they've had to rewrite a lot of the netcode. They've had to rewrite the UI. I get it. This engine sucks. We've said that. You've said it. Other developers have said it. Look at Star Citizen. Millions of dollars, and they've had to rewrite everything as well. Apparently they had some help from Crytek, but same issue. You know, everybody's having to rewrite the CryEngine because it's garbage under the hood. So it's unfortunate that we're stuck here, but I don't know. I just feel like, look, I would gladly wait a very long time for some better looking maps, and PGI, just take your time. And no, I'm not telling you to rush anything. I don't know if somebody is telling you to rush maps. I'm not. I hope that people would understand that it does take a long time to create something that's easy on the eyes, and just take your time with these maps. They're important. Maps, I think, have a lot to do with your gameplay. And in many cases where people are complaining about game balance and things like that, where you're having to dumb down the range, nerf rate of fire, I don't think you have to do that. I just think you have to provide maps that have nice objectives, good cover, that are larger in size. ER large laser for the clans. Oh, it's such a big deal. Well, it's a big deal because people aren't utilizing cover, or maps are too small. If you look at Forest Colony, it was like the first map they ever made. It was made for 8v8. Well, now it's 12v12. And yeah, you can shoot across the map because the map is a shoebox. It's too small, guys. That's part of the problem. Of course these lasers are going to be overpowered, these long-range weapons. You're going to get sniped because you can see the enemy team. They spawned right in front of you. They're not that far away. You can just get up a couple meters, get on a hill, and shoot across the map. Yeah. Of course you can. The map's too small. People say they want smaller maps, but no, you don't. You just need better maps, better objectives. So, look, we played MechWarrior Living Legends. I didn't play it too long, but, huge, gigantic maps using a different engine, of course, a different, the first CryEngine, Crisis Warhead even. The maps were huge, but it gave you such gave you more of a tactical experience. And I think that going smaller, that's just limiting. I mean, we thought that back in the day when we saw games like Tribes and Battlefield, we thought that maps and PC gaming maps were going to get bigger, more robust. And now it just seems like maps are getting smaller and featureless. And so I really think that, I don't know, hire more map artists. I don't know where the money's going from clan mech sales and things like that. I really just hope it's going into a map department. Get in some new talent that's maybe a little bit more confident with their abilities here, because honestly, the stuff in this game can be put to shame by the competition. I mean, when you have a game like World of Tanks using an archaic big world engine with destructible environments, trees and buildings and fences and things like that, when you have Unreal Engine 3 for Hawken, putting out beautiful maps that are just nice and lush, smaller but lush and filled with detail and color, it's a shame, because this game has better gameplay than a lot of those titles, at least in my opinion. But it just seems like it's falling short. Am I too picky? Overly critical? Standards too high? Yeah, probably, but I don't think I'd have a YouTube channel or live stream if I wasn't. I think this is the one thing that sets me apart from the rest. And with all of this said, are there ways that I can improve? Of course. Can the videos be better in some way? Sure. Can the commentary be better? Can the video editing be better? Yeah. Everything can improve. We could probably look at classical paintings that are worth millions of dollars. We could analyze them and say, wow, this isn't so great. The proportion's a bit off there. I've been to museums where that is absolutely true. You've looked at them and you say, wow, look at that figure. It's not right. But, back then the eye was different and people thought, okay. So, but yeah, I mean, standards, they change over time, and some people are going to have an issue where others won't. And it just depends on who you are as a human being and what interests you when you play a game. For me, it is about immersion. It's not that I'm a graphics whore. I am, but it's not necessarily the factor behind this video. It's more so that in many cases it's about the immersion, which I think leads to better gameplay. It's about map design and creation with layouts that need to be fleshed out further in order to provide us with a excellent mech combat experience. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, again, I really hope that people watching this understand. I really hope that if PGI is watching this, that they understand where I'm coming from. I do this because I really like the game a lot. and I do appreciate everything that PGI has done for me. You know, I've got Darren and Phil of No Guts, No Galaxy, who now, of course, work for PGI. They're my friends. I want them to be successful. I want their company to be successful. You know, I appreciate the fact that, you know, the president and CEO, Russ Bullock, retweets my live streams. I mean, you know, the fact that they pay some sort of attention to me, that they share some of my videos on Facebook, you know. I can't get that from other developers, you know. I mean, I've been working with other games for so many years and haven't gotten a single mention anywhere, a forum, Twitter, anything. And so it's nice to have some attention finally for this hard work. So, you know, with that said, again, I just want to stress that this is not an attack on anybody. This is just to help better the game, to get another opinion out there. There might be some areas where I'm absolutely wrong, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the technology behind this, but I'm just calling it like I see it. As an outsider, as a gamer, as somebody that plays this every day, I'm just labeling it, and I really, you know, hope that people can understand where it's coming from. But it's time to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on a regular basis. It is definitely always appreciated. Make sure to give this game a try if you haven't already. Link in the description below, mwomercs.com. It is free to play. If you're thinking about it, stop. Just do. Spend some time downloading it. Try it out. If you don't like it, you know how to uninstall. But I think that if you're in my community, if you enjoy the types of games that I do, then I think you'll like this as well. The learning curve is steep, but I think that's what makes it good. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop by the Twitch live stream. I'll try to answer your questions, or if I don't know the answer, then somebody in the chat will. We got a lot of knowledgeable people that have been very helpful. A lot of individuals helping me out with mech builds and things as well. I definitely don't think you'll be disappointed if you show up. So again, each and every one of you, thanks so much for joining me. Darren and Phil, No Guts, No Galaxy, and PGI, thank you all so much for your continued support. Always appreciated. With that said, I will see you on the next one.